The question that haunts world leaders: what if Iran gets the bomb? For decades, Iran's nuclear ambitions have sparked fear, not just in Israel but across the globe. Israel has fought an ongoing covert war to stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons, but what happens if those efforts fail? What if Iran joins the nuclear club? How would this change the dynamics of global security and Middle Eastern stability? In today's video, we'll explore the chilling possibilities of a nuclear-armed Iran and what that could mean for the world. In 2018, Israel's Mossad carried out one of the most daring intelligence operations in history, stealing half a ton of documents from Iran's nuclear archive. These documents, some of which are detailed in the book, exposed how Iran had been lying to the world for years about its nuclear intentions. Despite agreeing to limit nuclear development under the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, Iran had secretly continued to work toward developing a nuclear weapon. Today, we'll explore the possible scenarios that could unfold if Iran does in fact succeed in creating a nuclear bomb. A nuclear-armed Iran would send shockwaves through the Middle East. Iran's primary rivals, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the Sunni Arab states, would be the first to react. As Yonah Jeremy Bob and Ilan Evyatar describe in Iran's nuclear ambitions are driven not just by security concerns but also by a desire to project power and influence across the region. Iran has already established itself as a regional power, using proxy groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad to destabilize its enemies. But with nuclear weapons in its arsenal, Iran could take its influence to a dangerous new level. Hezbollah in Lebanon, emboldened by a nuclear shield, might increase its rocket attacks on Israel, knowing Iran's nuclear deterrent could prevent any decisive retaliation. Then there's Saudi Arabia, Iran's chief Sunni rival. The two countries are already locked in a Cold War, fighting through proxy forces in Yemen and Syria. But with a nuclear-armed Iran, Saudi Arabia might feel compelled to develop its own nuclear capabilities. In fact, the Saudi government has made it clear that they won't sit idly by while Iran gains a nuclear advantage. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman once said, "If Iran develops a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible." This could trigger a regional nuclear arms race, with other nations like Turkey and Egypt potentially seeking their own nuclear deterrence. The result? A massively destabilized Middle East with multiple nuclear-armed states, all with long-standing political, religious, and territorial disputes. Perhaps the most immediate and severe consequences would be felt in Israel. For years, Israel has maintained a policy of ambiguity regarding its own nuclear capabilities, while aggressively countering any nuclear threat from its neighbors. As the book outlines, Israel has preemptively attacked nuclear facilities in Iraq in 1981 and Syria in 2007, following what's known as the Begin Doctrine. This doctrine states that Israel will not allow any enemy state in the region to develop weapons of mass destruction. If Iran were to get close to acquiring a nuclear bomb, Israel could feel compelled to launch a massive preemptive strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. But unlike in Iraq and Syria, Iran's nuclear program is highly dispersed, hidden deep underground in fortified sites. Israel's efforts to stop Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons haven't just been limited to military strikes. In fact, one of the most audacious and successful operations in modern espionage history took place on the night of January 31, 2018. A team of Mossad agents under the command of then Mossad chief Yossi Cohen executed a meticulously planned heist, stealing Iran's nuclear archive from a secret warehouse in Tehran. This operation, described in great detail was a turning point in the ongoing covert war between Israel and Iran. The warehouse was located in the drab industrial Shirobad district of Tehran, a nondescript location deliberately chosen by the Iranian government to keep the archive hidden from foreign intelligence agencies. The archive contained critical documents, files, and CDs that revealed Iran's long-standing deception regarding its nuclear program. Mossad's team, comprised of around 24 operatives, penetrated the warehouse and faced a series of steel vaults, each containing detailed records of Iran's efforts to develop nuclear weapons. Using high-temperature blowtorches heated to 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit, the agents cut through the vaults and removed over half a ton of hard files and compact disks, all within just 6.5 hours. The precision of this operation was remarkable. Mossad had rehearsed the entire heist countless times in an undisclosed foreign location, where they built a replica of the warehouse and practiced breaking into the same model of Iranian vaults. They knew exactly where the critical documents were stored, how to disable the alarm systems, and even had detailed knowledge of the guards' shifts. At exactly 5 a.m., the Mossad agents loaded the stolen files onto trucks and began their race against time, heading toward Iran's borders under the cover of darkness and thick fog. To prevent detection, Mossad had orchestrated a series of decoy operations to mislead Iranian security forces, even activating agents in other parts of the country to create false leads. By the time Iranian authorities discovered the heist, it was already too late. The trucks carrying the stolen nuclear secrets were well on their way out of the country. Back in Israel, Yossi Cohen and his team watched live-streamed images of the operation in Mossad's Situation Room, holding their breath as they monitored every moment of the heist. Upon their successful return, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hailed the operation as one of the most significant intelligence achievements in Israel's history. But what did these stolen documents reveal? The nuclear archive included over 55,000 files and 183 CDs, containing detailed blueprints, photographs, and videos of Iran's secret nuclear weapons program. The documents proved that despite signing the 2015 JCPOA agreement, Iran had lied to the international community about its nuclear ambitions. This trove of evidence showed that Iran had been actively working to design nuclear warheads, and had the knowledge to build them if it chose to do so. On April 30, 2018, Netanyahu publicly revealed the stolen documents in a dramatic press conference stating, "Iran lied. Big time." He shared the evidence with world leaders, including US President Donald Trump, who used the revelations to justify his decision to withdraw the United States from the JCPOA nuclear deal just days later. This operation not only exposed Iran's dishonesty but also reshaped global diplomacy. It put immense pressure on Iran, reigniting sanctions and diplomatic isolation while empowering Israel to continue its covert war against Iran's nuclear program. Yet despite these setbacks, the fear remains. What if Iran continues its pursuit of nuclear weapons undeterred? While espionage operations like the 2018 archive heist were critical, Israel has also relied on more direct, lethal methods to delay Iran's nuclear program-targeted assassinations. Over the years, several top Iranian nuclear scientists have been killed in mysterious circumstances, and as details, many of these operations were orchestrated by Israel's Mossad. Perhaps the most high-profile assassination was that of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, often described as the father of Iran's nuclear program. Fakhrizadeh had long been a central figure in Iran's efforts to build nuclear weapons, and Mossad had been tracking him for years. According to the book, his assassination in November 2020 was a turning point as it significantly delayed Iran's nuclear advancements. Fakhrizadeh was killed in an ambush outside Tehran, reportedly involving a sophisticated remote-controlled weapon. Although Iran initially claimed it was the work of an autonomous machine gun, intelligence sources pointed to Mossad's involvement, showcasing Israel's ability to strike deep inside Iranian territory without putting operatives at risk. This wasn't an isolated event. Since 2010, at least 5 top Iranian scientists have been assassinated under mysterious circumstances. In some cases, magnetic bombs were attached to the scientists' cars by motorbike-riding assailants, detonating once they were a safe distance away. These targeted killings were all part of a broader Israeli strategy to decapitate the leadership of Iran's nuclear program and create fear among Iranian scientists. These operations, while effective, have not been without controversy. Some experts argue that assassinations alone cannot prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, as the program is too large and well established. But as argues, these assassinations have bought Israel valuable time, forcing Iran to delay its program and deterring other scientists from taking leadership roles in its nuclear efforts. The cumulative impact of these killings has been significant. Without experienced leaders like Fakhrizadeh, Iran's nuclear program has been slowed, and it's forced the regime to take extra security measures, diverting resources that could have been used to speed up their nuclear ambitions. But the question remains: how long can Israel continue these operations, and will they be enough to stop Iran from eventually acquiring the bomb? While assassinations and covert sabotage have delayed Iran's progress, the core issue remains unresolved. Assassinations are just one tool in Israel's broader strategy of containment. The ultimate solution, many argue, must come through diplomacy or decisive military action. But for now, Israel's covert assassinations remain a critical, if controversial, part of its efforts to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran. The ripple effects of a nuclear-armed Iran wouldn't stop at the Middle East. The global balance of power would be disrupted. The United States, which has long been a protector of Israel and a key player in Middle Eastern affairs, would face a critical decision. Should it intervene militarily to prevent Iran from becoming a nuclear state? A U.S. intervention would likely provoke a direct confrontation with Iran, something both sides have been careful to avoid for years. But if the U.S. fails to act, it risks allowing Iran to further consolidate power, emboldening its proxy forces in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and Israel would pressure Washington to take decisive action, putting American forces at greater risk of direct conflict with Iran. A conflict involving the U.S. and Iran could also escalate tensions with other major powers. China and Russia, who have economic and military ties with Iran, might see U.S. action as an opportunity to expand their own influence in the region or counterbalance American power. The nuclearization of Iran would create a new level of uncertainty, where the superpowers could be drawn into a proxy war with far-reaching consequences. One of the biggest concerns about a nuclear-armed Iran is the risk of nuclear proliferation. If Iran is allowed to develop a bomb, it sends a dangerous message to other nations that the global non-proliferation regime can be broken without serious consequences. The JCPOA was an attempt to contain Iran's nuclear ambitions, but the revelation from Israel's 2018 Mossad heist showed just how fragile such agreements can be. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and the UN Security Council would face immense pressure to strengthen non-proliferation measures. But with Iran already in possession of a nuclear bomb, it could be too late. The global non-proliferation architecture, which has held the line since the Cold War, could crumble. Historically, the introduction of nuclear weapons has increased the risk of miscalculation and accidents. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 and the ongoing tensions between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan are stark reminders of how close the world can come to catastrophe. A nuclear Iran could create similar hair-trigger tensions in the Middle East, where even a small misstep could lead to nuclear escalation. Beyond military and security concerns, the economic fallout from a nuclear-armed Iran would be devastating. Iran sits near some of the world's most critical oil shipping routes, like the Strait of Hormuz. Any conflict with Iran would send oil prices skyrocketing, disrupting the global economy. Moreover, sanctions that have crippled Iran's economy for years might no longer be effective if Iran gains nuclear deterrence. This would give Iran greater leverage in diplomatic negotiations, further unsettling global markets and shifting the power dynamics in international relations. We learn how Israel has fought tooth and nail to prevent Iran from crossing the nuclear threshold. But if those efforts fail, the world could face a new era of nuclear uncertainty. A nuclear-armed Iran would not just shift the balance of power in the Middle East. It would have profound, far-reaching consequences for global security, diplomacy, and economics. The question remains, can diplomacy, intelligence, and military action prevent this scenario? Or will the world be forced to live with the dangers of a nuclear-armed Iran? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future content.